Iyov responds, the third speech of Eliphaz we read about in chapter 22. And in chapter 23, Iyov responds. It's not clear if he's responding to Eliphaz, if he's responding to God, if he's just sort of speaking to himself out loud, or even if he spoke. But Vayan Iyov Vayomar, Iyov says, Gam hayom Mari Sichi Yadi Kavda al Anchati. Today again, my complaint is mar, it's bitter. My strength I'm sapped of strength on account of all of my moaning and my groaning. Mi yitain yadati vemtzaehu avo ad tuchunato. If I only knew how to reach him, how to get to his dwelling place. And we haven't commented about it too much, but there's this phrase, mi yitain, is used over and over again in the book of Iyov. We had it in the speech of Tzofar. We have it numerous times in the book of mentioned by Iyov. I think it may be 12 times in the book that we have this phrase, mi yitain. So it's very over and over again. And for many people, it sort of indicates Iyov's pessimism. Iyov's mi yitain, who's going to give this to me? If it only, if he wants, forgetting his complaints and forgetting his worries and horror that's happened to him. He wants an audience with God, and he knows he's not able to get it. It's over and over again. I haven't pointed out too much, but we'll look for it in the future. So let's go to verse 4 then. So if I could only know how to reach God, if I could only know his dwelling place, right? I need help. I have pessimism. There's nobody who can help me. So again, I would set out my case before him and fill my mouth with my arguments and with my points. This comes back to something Iyov has said many, many times. He just wants an audience with God. I would learn what answers he had for me and know how he would reply to me. So, right, if I knew, then I would arrange case and I'd have a mock trial and figure out what the best things for me to say is. Would he contend with me overbearingly? Surely he would not accuse me. Sham yashar nochachi mov aflatala netzach mishpati. Things would be upright, right? It would be an honest court case. And Iyov believes, and I would escape forever from my judge. I would be found in the clear. I would be found to be innocent. Okay, that's what he says. Now, interestingly, here I said before, it's a debate amongst different people as to is Iyov sort of answering the previous chapter of Eliphaz, return to God? Is this just him sort of talking to God, talking to his friends? It's hard to think that he could convince his friends to be on his side more at this point after everything in the book. But in one way here, he is answering Eliphaz, and the friends are telling him to return to God. And he shows, starting in verse 8, that desire. Look at verse 8. Hein kedem ehaloch ve'einenu va'achor v'lo avinlo. But if I go east, he's not there. If I go west, I still do not perceive him, right? If I go whichever way I'm going, I can't find God for this court case. Small ba'asoto v'lo achaz ya'atof yamin v'lo er'eh. If I go small, if I go to the left, which presumably here means north, he is concealed. I don't find him. If I go south, he is hidden and I cannot see him. Ki yada derech imadi b'chonani kazahav eitzeh. But he knows the way I take, right? And would he assay me, I would emerge pure as gold. So Iyov here is he's saying, I would go to find God. I would go to the east. I would go to the west. I would go to the north. I would go to the south. And of course, we have different places in the Tanakh where going to the right, Yamin, is going to the south. We have them back in the book of Shmuel. That's the belief here, and other things where to go to the north is to go small, is going up to Damascus, back all the way back in the book of Bereshit. And so Iyov here seems to be saying, I would turn to God. I'm trying, but God will not answer me. Continuing, and if he did, I know I would be found to be in the right. Continuing verse 11. Be'ashuro achaza ragli darko shamarti v'lo. I followed in his tracks. I've kept his ways without swerving. I'm following God. Mitzvat tzvatav v'lo amish. Mechuki tzafanti imri fiv. I have not deviated from what his lips commanded. You think of, not exactly, but think of the verse, Lo yamush sefer ha-Torah zemi picha, right, which Vigita bo yomam balayla, opening chapter, the second chapter, whatever it is, over in the book of in Yoshua. Iyov is saying, I have God in my lips, I have God with me, I've treasured his words, they are my words, that's what I keep. Who is one who can dissuade him? Whatever he desires, he does. So here there's again that little bit of that mi'itain. I've listened to everything that God said, and I know that if I had that case with him, that I would be in the right. I've listened to everything that he said, but it doesn't seem to be working for me. Ki ashlim chukai v'chahena rabot imo. For he will bring my term to an end, but he has many more such at his disposal. And that may be as part of the sadness here for Iyov. It doesn't help Iyov that other people are suffering, but he knows that other people are going to go through the same things that he went through. Other people are going to be unjustly punished by God and then want God to stay away. And of course, we know that. We've talked about that. They'll question who's the author of this book, or when did this person live, and who is Iyov. And it's, in a sense, the everyman. It's an exaggerated form of the everyman. Very few people go through the hardships that Iyov went through, although we could, certainly point to people who have had everything taken away from them. But it's an exaggerated form of this idea, and Iyov knows that it's going to sadly continue, and he's desired that it doesn't continue in one way by saying a couple of chapters ago, don't let my blood be covered, let people know this, let the earth and the heavens testify to me, right? This is something that should not continue. Continuing in verse 15, Al Kain mipanav ebahel et bonain ve'efchad mimenu. Therefore I am terrified at his presence. When I consider, I dread him. So we went from the hope in the first part, if I can find God, I can have this court case, I know that I will win, to knowing that that's not going to happen. V'el harach libi v'shadai hiv hilani. God has made me faint-hearted. God, or Shaddai, has terrified me. Over the last couple of chapters, we've moved from just the word for El, or Elohim for God and the judge, to more of this word Shaddai, which is understood more of an implication, not less in so in this book, but in other books of the Torah and other places. El Shaddai is the God who doesn't complete creation and allows man to continue. The Elohim Shamar Dai, God said die. God said enough of my creation, and you need to continue. So here the Shaddai is terrified Iyov. I stopped. You should be continuing the creation, Iyov. Iyov says, I have. But instead of rewarding me for continuing, getting rid of more of the tohu vavohu, the vacuum, the evil of this world, you have punished me. Continuing the last verse, Ki lo nitzmati mipnei choshech umipanai kisa ofel. Yet I am not cut off by darkness. He has concealed the thick gloom from me. So Iyov here in the last verse is saying that I'm not completely cut off. I'm not dead yet. I'm still alive, and maybe there's still a chance of having this court case. It seems unlikely, but that is what Iyov says here in these complaints over this chapter.